So today we're back in the kitchen workshop. We haven't been in here for a while, have we? And we're going to be looking at putting a dual battery on your e-bike using a range extender that's going onto your bike rack. So the first thing we need to do really is find out where your controller is, and your controller on this thing is actually behind that box. But if you've got something like an Engwe foldable, I'll point to where it is in there, and it pretty much covers most e-bikes. This will work with pretty much any e-bike that has either a fitted rack or a rack that you can buy that when you buy the battery. So what I'm doing with this one, this is a 25 amp hour battery that I'm fitting onto the back to add on to what I think is 18 amp hours. It could be 17, but it gives me 42, 43 amp hours of range. And spring's come in. Well, spring's actually here because it's going to be 15 degrees here today. So yeah, that's what we're up with today. We're going to put this on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to thread that cable down there, that one, through into where my controller is. And when I've done that, I'm just gonna use this thing. Best thing ever. It says he's trying to get a scan on it. So, and I'll explain what that is a bit later on, the Datex extender. And we'll work from there. But it's the easiest way to extend the range on your bike apart from dropping half your body weight. The previous bike I did, I actually got a range in the end of nearly 100 miles on level 5 on the Engwe Engine X from doing this, but that was a 50 amp hour battery. But this is 52 volt and this isn't 48 volts, so I'm expecting at least 80 from this. Anyway, let's get on with it. As you can see, we've got power, 5 bars, but we have no battery in the actual bike. So we'll run in off of this one. So we know there's power coming from that battery to the bike, which is nice. So as you can see down here, I've got the wiring through. It's now just a case of tidying the cables up. That's the Datex 2 blender. Simplest one out there. It's so easy to use, and I've got another out, so if I want to change any lights on here I can, which is fab. So I can have a higher power headlight on the front running from that with using a step down, and it all runs from up there, you see. So we're getting somewhere, and let's get it all together. So there we are. All the cables are nicely tucked away, look. They're tucked in there, and now we can just sew everything back up. And this, in total, has probably taken me about 25 minutes tops. That's not including screwing down the base for this thing up here. I think this weighs about 11 kilos at 25 amp hours, 52 volt. So that's the extra weight going over on, which apparently goes for 25 kilos anyway. But you'll find that the weight ratio for all of these are pretty much the same. So we're going to go from there. There we have it. I'm going to put a longer wire on and have it run around the frame a little bit so it hides the cable. But this is just a test run for it today. And if you own a Cyrusher, look, free light that comes with it, so you don't have to keep putting batteries in that bag of shit. So yeah, let's start taking it out for a test run. What do you think? It's nice coming back into the kitchen workshop. So it's still here, the client still hasn't picked it up. It's paid for, but just give you a side-by-side comparison that you can sort of get your head round. The advantage of the Cyrusher is that you've got to step through, unless of course you buy their new Scout. And if you want a second battery on that, you have to pull it where the Ovia badge is in the middle by the bottle holder, which then stops it from being a step through. And there's only 40 amp hour. It does have a motor on the front though for you to suck more energy out of. It's not needed, that's a powerful enough bike. So yeah, as you know, I got about 100 miles out of range out of that one in the end, on a chargeable batteries. That was all level 5, all over Yorkshire. And then of course, this one I need to test out. So that's a 25 amp hour battery on the back. That's a 30 on the back of that one. 17 amp hour in there, but it was a 20. That is 25, say 25 amp hour. I'm not sure if it's 17 or 18 in the battery in the bike, but I'll actually put that in the video. I'll actually pull that up. So yeah, it's still a funny little bike, this. It's a shame that, you know, it's an Engwe, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's take the other one out for a test ride. So here we go, let's take it out for a test ride. So the main battery was sitting at 3 or 4 bars. So obviously with the other battery in, it's saying 100%, and it's going to stay at 100% for quite a while, I should have thought. Feels balanced like the other one did. Doesn't seem like there's any problems with it. It does, however, feel a little bit more flighty. It feels a little faster. Might be because I haven't been out on it for a bit, but it might be just in my head. But it feels stable. Everything, there's no rattling. The whole idea of this is like springs come in and we can all start getting out on our bikes and then, you know, going on adventures with them, see how far we can get on them. I think e-bike companies are waking up to the fact that people want more power, want more range with their bikes rather than more power. I think they're finding the buying power of older people who have the cash to buy these willy-nilly, like myself. We want more range. We're not bothered about speed per se. Like I say, when the new government law comes in and they're saying it's still going to be 15.5 mile an hour, 20 would have done me. I'm not going to sit here and shout and say I wanted 30 mile an hour or whatever. It's my right, blah blah blah. I think 20 mile an hour is fast enough. And obviously if you're going at 30 mile an hour, you're burning out your range out, so you're not going far on it, you're just getting somewhere quicker. And then you're missing the whole point of these anyway. But yeah, it's fine. Works fine, sounds fine. As I said, it just feels a little bit more flighty, and obviously I'm not going to burn into this range very quickly. So I'm only taking this out on a quick ride just to test that it works. It works fine. So what we're looking at? Well, for a 25 amp hour rack battery without the rack, because most of you already have one if you've got a 20x4, you're looking at about 425 quid. If you have to buy the rack, it's another 40-50 quid on top. And then you're looking at the Datex 2 blender, which I think Gareth has them on at about 100 quid at the moment. So it says Datex 2 because you can attach 2 batteries. But they do take Datex 3, 4 and 5, I believe, so you can add 5 batteries. You can have what you want. So if you've got yourself a nice, what they call it, cargo carrier at the back, you can add a battery to that. So you could possibly, I mean, without upsetting the apple cart, add another 50 amp hour battery on that, and then you're out for the day. You know, you can get 150, 200 miles then without really much effort. And if you like camping or going off road and just going free camping or whatever else it is you like to do, it's ideal. This is what you want. This is what you want. You want range. Because you know yourself, however these are, if you run out of range somewhere and you get stuck, you're pushing it home. You ain't pedaling this 90 kilo bike back home, because that's what it is with this battery on. You know, and then I'm 240 pound or whatever it is now. You know, it's a big animal to move, so you're either going to have to get picked up or sort of push it back. Well, I say spring's coming, and that's the whole idea behind this. Springtime. Get out on your e-bikes, that's what they're built for. Look at that. Yeah, I have got a bit more power in this bike. It normally sits about 24, 25. Yeah, I think I've got a bit more pep out of it, but what you have to remember is, with all that juice going in, you're not going to get battery sag. So if you're going up a hill, battery sag isn't an issue. And as you know, if you're going up a steep hill, your bike starts to sort of, I'm struggling a bit, it's normally down to battery sag, that fade. Most of the motors that you all have are 750 watt motors, so they all do the same thing. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this one. It's ideally what I wanted for the spring. So, what are your thoughts down in the comments? I mean, it's to get this sort of range, you're adding another 500 odd quid to your bike, but you're getting over double the range out of it. Is that valuable to you? Is the easy setup valuable to you? Because this is the 5th time I've used a Datex blender and I've never had an issue with them. And the joy of these things is that I can have 2 battery chemistries. So if you have a look on Gareth's site on big game bikes, I can have 2 chemistries on this bike. I can have 2 voltages, and it'll still draw what the bike needs rather than overvolting, which will damage your bike eventually. So that's something to bear in mind. It might be £100, it might be 4 times some of these cheap Chinese shit things you can get from AliExpress, but it's tried and tested. I've used it, I say, on 5 bikes now, and it's never let me down once. And it's a simple thing, it's simple plug and play. All you have to remember is that your connections have to be XT60. So if you've got an Engwe bike that isn't an XT60, you're gonna have to sort of work your way around some soldering. But that said, it's not really a compromise, if that makes sense. So it's something to look at, it's something to be looking into if that's what you're looking for. Extra range, simplicity, because I don't have time to fanny about with these things, and most people don't. But if you've got the time to mess about and sort of like see if something works, and if it does work, let us know. Come on, film something, throw it on the Facebook channels, because we'd all like to know alternative ways of doing this that are cheaper. Well, I'd rather do it not necessarily cheaper, but properly the first time round, and not have to worry about anything. I think I could do with some air in this front wheel. Looks a bit low, this tyre. I'll check it when I get home, but it does look low. It's been sat for a while. So before you go out, always check your tyres, always check your linkages are tight, always check that you're lubed up and your nuts are tight. It's a real simple credo to work by when you're going out on these things. Saying that I've used 2% battery so far, which will be across the 2 batteries. Well, I say it wasn't fully charged, so not the rear one, the front one. So I'm wondering if that's having any bearing on it losing a bar or whatever on that. Well, I can't see me using it much power riding around on it like this. So as I previously said, tops, this takes an hour to do, tops. That's with drilling the back plate to the battery to your rack, pulling the wires out, adding in the Datex controller, bolting everything up, a couple of cable ties, and you're done. It doesn't get easier than that. It takes all the brain power out of it, all the complexity that you normally have brain fog with. Even an idiot can do this, and I'm proof of that. So if I can do it, you can do it. It's not that difficult. It just all depends on how much you want that extra range. If you want that extra range, it's well worth the money. For me, it's worth the money because I use my e-bike a lot. And I've got billing next month, so I'm going to be out going and seeing most of my clients on my e-bike. It's a nice day out for me instead of a stressful day. You know, trying to park here, there and everywhere. I'm just going out on my e-bike and doing it. There's a lot of advantages to extra range, and like I said, I think manufacturers are waking up to it. It's not by coincidence that 2 to 3 months after I did my range battery on my Engwe X that, you know, Engwe started selling their own. You know, it's a bit piss poor, it's only a 15 ampere thing, but if you're a light person, if you don't weigh much, that's perfect. That's all you need. You know, all you need is 30 amperes. You know, you've got 15 in the bike, you've got 15 or 13 in the bike, 15 on the back. It's nearly 30 amperes. What else do you need? For me, I need a little bit more because I'm heavier. I mean, this thing's perfect for me now with, you know, having the 52 volt batteries. You know, I'm sure the controller's 25 amp on this one. But like I said, I'm not bothered about going fast. I can. You just become a police magnet if you just ride around like an idiot on them all day. And here's the other thing: how many people do you know have had their bikes confiscated when they're not riding around like an idiot? To be honest, when they're riding like an idiot, how many do you know have had their bikes confiscated? And it's normally Saurons. If you're riding round on this at 20 mile an hour, the police ain't going to look twice at you. And they're going to look at you even less if you're wearing a GoPro. I find that a lot. They look and then they look away. Because my argument is, who wants to have an argument with an idiot on an e-bike and have it all plastered all over YouTube? Because that's exactly what I'd do if I was pulled over. So I don't see me having a bike confiscated anytime soon. I'm just waiting for the new laws to come to pass where it means the throttle's illegal. Because to me, that's going to be helpful to so many people. You know, having a throttle that you can use without prejudice, that, you know, the police can pull you over if they see you using a throttle. Well, I think it's one of the barriers to entry upon an e-bike for most people if you can't use the throttle, and especially if you live in a hilly area. Anyway, that's it. Have a nice day, everyone.